My last year in the Army was at Sacramento, California, at Mather Field, where I worked in the photo department. I was discharged from there and came out of the service as a captain. I stayed in the reserves for another 20 years, and in the reserves I was promoted twice to major and to lieutenant colonel. And I'm now retired with the rank of lieutenant colonel. There's a company, I forget their name, that owns a B-24 and a B-17. And they tour the U.S. regularly, and they get to Coatesville, Chester County Airport, I guess once every 2 or 3 years. And a few years ago, several friends of mine and I went up there, and by then my walking was getting bad, and I couldn't get in either one of those airplanes. They claim that their B-24 is the only B-24 in the world that's flying. The B-17, I know there are 2 or 3 others, maybe more. The Confederate Air Force has at least one. And the B-17, with the name Flying Fortress, took the eye of the public. It is a beautiful airplane, and the public took to that name, and everybody thinks it's the best airplane ever built. I flew a year in B-17s before I went to B-24s, and I was frankly worried when they put me in a B-24. I was confirmed a believer of the 17. But once I'd been in the 24 for a month, I loved it. And I would prefer to fly it in combat instead of the 17.
Was it a later airplane? The B-24 came later?
Well, they were both first built in the 1930s.
And what made the B-24 better? What characteristics made it better for you, you think, in your opinion?
It's bigger. It's a little faster.
Faster helps.
It carries almost twice the load of the B-17. And it can fly farther, which was not necessarily to the crew's advantage. But the Davis wing, I can't go into the details on that. I don't much remember, even though I used to design airplane wings. Figure out the type of airfoil, how many square feet, how many pounds per square foot. I could design a wing to support whatever airplane you wanted. But the so-called Davis wing defied any definition by the usual methods. And it was a high lift wing. It was long and thin compared to others. And it was responsible for the better load and the faster speed. We couldn't fly as high as the B-17. We couldn't get over 30,000 feet. And the B-17 could fly higher than that, which in England was good for them because they would take off in bad weather and climb up through the clouds and build their formation when they came out on top. We didn't do that. Of course, we didn't have the clouds that they had. So I still like the B-24. But I will admit that if I had to bomb in competition, I would choose the B-17. I think I can do more accurate placement of my bombs in the heart of a target than I can with a B-24. Now that wasn't that important because we didn't try to hit a pickle barrel, which is baloney. We flew in a formation, and everybody dropped their bombs when the lead plane dropped, so that we laid down a pattern. The size of our formation, how wide it was, helped establish the pattern of the bombs hitting the ground. And on a broad target, you'd have a wider formation. As I said in another story, we went into the enemy's homeland. We didn't bomb along the battlefronts, except that one mission. B-25s would bomb in support of the ground troops. They're smaller, they're faster. But we go 400, 500, 600 miles into the enemy's homeland. We'd bomb his factories. We'd bomb dams. We'd knock out bridges that were important for communication, for moving troops and goods. Aircraft factories, ball bearing factories. You destroy a ball bearing factory and you've crippled everything. I'll tell you how that came about. We didn't know it at the time. We were just told we're going to bomb the ball bearing factory in Austria. And the fact that it would cripple their production of anything that moves. But after the war, we found out that Sweden had a terrific business in ball bearings. And they wanted to keep that business and be the masters of it. And they convinced somebody in Washington to bomb the ball bearing factories in Vienna. Well, true, it did serve a purpose. It crippled the production of any machinery. But that's what actually brought it about.